Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have a look at the latest on the thunderstorms that have been rumbling throughout the day and will continue through the rest of this evening as they do slowly head northwards and eastwards. Around midnight we're thinking they will start to dissipate quite significantly, but still a number of hours of active systems continuing to move in. So have a look at the live radar. We'll go through the lightning radar, have a look where we've got active thunderstorms at the moment. We'll have a look at the weather warnings, as we do have the thunderstorm warning continuing until midnight, and then we have another thunderstorm warning issued tomorrow. And then we'll have a look at some of the shorter range runs, look at the UKV, look at the precipitation and the temperature over the next 5 days, just keep up to date with the Rome run high resolution model. Again, looking at thunderstorms, and they'll have a look briefly at the mid to longer range as well, look at the GFS and the GFS ensembles. So remember, if you enjoy videos, which do like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the links in the description. So this video is coming out a little bit later than usual, should be released around 8, half 8. Unfortunately today I've had a little bit too busy during the afternoon to get this video out, but of course yesterday we did cover thunderstorms in depth, so hopefully everyone did heed those warnings that they have been very active today. Now what we can see on the live radar is the storms are most active in western regions at the moment, sort of dissipating down towards southwest England, but through the West Midlands up towards northwest England, still many active cells here. Again, they are relatively small cells and they are moving through relatively quickly, but still can give severe impacts where they do occur. Further northwards, we're seeing some cells break out across southern Scotland and western Scotland as well, banding together in these regions, perhaps giving longer spells of trench rain. Further eastwards, you can see lots of areas of lighter to moderate rain, and this is all thunderstorms that occurred earlier and did decay away. This sort of rain across eastern Scotland, this sort of persistent lighter rain, thunderstorms that occurred in the southeast that have headed northwards. So we've seen a lot of on and off rain today. Again, the thunderstorms initially broke out in the southeast, up towards the East Midlands, up to northeast England, and have actually moved further westwards in development across parts of western regions today. So most areas have had thunderstorms today. Most regions have had thunderstorms in the vicinity, or at least have seen the effects of those storms with a lot of rain around. Now, it has put a big hit on those temperatures. It's still pretty humid out in many regions, especially through East Midlands into East Anglia, where we're just holding on to that hot air still. But many other areas where it has rained a lot today, it has cooled it down significantly. And we'll have a look at some of those top 20 temperatures in a minute, and you'll be able to see the peak temperatures of the day was all over the place, depending on your region. We can have a look at the past 24-hour precipitation, and you can be able to see that there is a lot of rainfall has fallen in many regions. And you see where these darker greens are. This is where thunderstorms did track. So initially, you can see across central southern England, out towards southeast England, slowly moving northwards through the East Midlands, up towards Yorkshire, before heading up into Scotland. And then you can see the secondary band of storms now breaking out across southwest England, West Midlands, northwest England, further north as well. And of course, we did see some big storms in Wales as well on the border with England, and that, as I said, has moved eastwards. Again, this has got a bit of a delay on it, so some of those storms in the West Midlands at the moment that are dropping a lot of rain at the moment, not quite showing up on this. But you can see all these darker green spots pretty much where we've seen those thunderstorms. You can see a large regions have seen rain today. Again, we saw no rain yesterday, so all of this green is from the showers and storms we've seen throughout today. Some few lucky areas across East Anglia and the far southeast of England have avoided this, but very isolated. Most regions saw all these storms moving from south to north. Now, if you look at the net weather radar, we'll be able to see where we've got some active storms at the moment. Again, this doesn't pick up on every single lightning strike, but gives us a good indication that we've got active storms still in the West Midlands, up towards northwest England, and 2 parts of Scotland as well. Again, these will continue to rumble on over the coming hours. Again, will these remain active with lightning? We'll have to see, but that precipitation, that high precipitation rate is unlikely to drop off particularly quickly, with them still remaining fairly active. But across the southeast, we're still seeing some of these heavier showers moving in, but they are, as I said, starting to degrade away now. You can see this system here up towards Swindon area. Again, this will be an ex-thunderstorm, but now sort of topping out and degrading away. Now, if you look at the top temperatures of the day, You can see we reached 26 to 29. It's a pretty hot day, but it's the time of day where this occurred, which is incredibly interesting. Now, those regions like Norwich didn't see the thunderstorms, just avoided it, but would have seen some of the clouds associated with it, as the cloud would have been was extensive today, even when it wasn't raining. So it meant generally most places did peak. In the morning, actually, you can see here the amount of top temperatures from 10 a.m. until midday, just before the thunderstorms start to become quite widespread. You can see some Scottish regions have reached 28 plus degrees in the early afternoon, around the 1 to 3 p.m. point again, where they did avoid thunderstorms during the early afternoon. But an interesting look at the south end, 5 p.m. reached 27 degrees. Again, I said this in yesterday's video, it was likely today we're going to see two peaks in those temperatures. One peak in the morning, just before the thunderstorms moved through in eastern regions, and then another peak around that 4 to 6 p.m. point once the thunderstorms move through, and then we see more develop in the west as well. Again, there's two batches really, those southern eastern storms, and then western northern storms through this evening. So it has played out quite similar to what we thought yesterday. It's probably been a bit more extensive and more intense in places than we anticipated. Definitely some of the models were underdoing it yesterday. But it has played out generally what we did think. If we look at the weather warnings, again, widespread yellow thunderstorm warning. Again, we looked at this extensively yesterday and is expiring at midnight. So any of these regions, do be aware. Again, probably should have been extended out towards parts of Wales, as these regions here did see some intense thunderstorms break out during the middle of the afternoon, but all that energy is transferred back into the warning zone now across parts of the West Midlands and North West England. We do have a thunderstorm warning issued for Northern Ireland tomorrow from 10 a.m. until 9 p.m. Again, it hasn't been updated since yesterday, but heavy showers and thunderstorms may cause some travel disruption. 25 to 35 millimetres in 2 to 3 hours, high impact and increasing in likelihood as well. So it could be some big impacts here once again, but we'll have to see. If you look at the UKV, we'll be able to see if we will see significant thunderstorms again tomorrow. You can see the first batch of storms through the morning in eastern regions, a lot more extensive than this making out to be. Definitely through that London region to East Anglia and East Midlands did see some big storms pop off heading straight northwards. This is not showing. And then as we head into the early afternoon, those storms break off in parts of Wales, transferring their energy further northwards and eastwards, and then seeing storms continuing through the evening. So it's definitely more extensive than the UKV this morning's UKV made out to be. Again, if we do move to around 8 p.m. as I'm recording this, really showing storms across northern England and Scotland, but we're actually seeing significant storms still across parts of the West Midlands, and rain continuing quite widely in southern and southeastern regions. So definitely hanging on to the rain and the storms more than the UKV is showing. Again, just the issues we have when we have to forecast storms. It is very uncertain, very small shifts in wind direction, very small shifts in temperature and the energy within the atmosphere that the models do have to anticipate. Very small shifts in that can drastically change timings and exact positionings. It has got the general gist of some of the most severe storms through northern England, but it's not picking up on the storms in western regions. But as I said, it's around that midnight period they all start to degrade away and move off. Again, generally becoming lighter. Still some dark, still some bright colours in there, so still some heavy rain, but unlikely to be active storms around the midnight period before clearing off out to sea for the early hours of the morning. Could see some persistent rain in the southeast through the morning, but really only clipping southeastern areas through the mid-morning period, but by lunchtime should have cleared off. And then tomorrow afternoon could see some thunderstorms breaking out once again. Bit of a risk through western regions, but mainly Northern Ireland, as the weather warnings has shown. Again, could be some significant storms in places there, but they do generally look more pop-up showers, so should move through quite quickly and not last all too long. By the evening, degrading away very quickly, and then as we head into Monday, could see some more batches of heavy rain moving into the afternoon as we go into a very unsettled period next week. Again, no thunderstorms within this. Could be a few rumbles of thunder looking at the intensities of this rainfall, but really that heavy, persistent rain here. Again, it's a couple of days away, so still could change, and luckily this heavy batch of rain in central regions is falling overnight, but regardless could be very heavy and could wake you up in the night. Into the afternoon, as we do head just generally into lower pressure, a lot of heavy showers and some thunderstorms breaking out here with the reds. So yeah, not looking great. And then as we head into Wednesday, more showers and potentially a few storms, but not quite as high in intensity as we do head into the middle of the week. But it's looking likely to rain very unsettled as we head into next week. The upper air temperatures aren't ridiculously cool, but coming in from a westerly direction, it's not a warm direction. Therefore, those temperatures won't be too high. If you look at the max temperatures, you can see these sort of the two peaks we've seen today. A peak around the 10-11 a.m. point, around the 28-29 degree mark, cooling off a bit. Then another peak around the London area of 28-29 around 4-5 p.m. So those temperatures really up and down today, depending on the storm formations. As we head into Sunday, temperatures will still be warm in some regions, maybe 25 to 26, but cooling off as we see colder air moving in it from the west. Monday definitely starting to cool off here. Most regions down towards the low 20s or high teens. Eastern regions could still hang on to 24, 25. Just seeing some legacy warmth there on the 10th. And finally into the 11th, we see temperatures still hanging on to 22 to 24. That's generally average for the time of year. Further westwards, low 20s or high teens. And by Wednesday, seeing those temperatures perhaps only into the low 20s. So starting to cool down. Again, not ridiculously cold, but with showers, with thicker cloud. Even if it is 25 degrees, it might not feel all too amazing with that cool westerly flow. If you look at the Aurora run just briefly, have a look at the risk of storms through the rest of this evening. You can see those storms breaking out today again. First batch through eastern regions through the mid-morning, and then the second batch through western regions through this afternoon and evening, eventually spreading northwards and degrading away through the late hours of the evening. As we head into tomorrow, could be see some more storms. Again, not highlighting too much in terms of significant storms for Northern Ireland initially, but perhaps starting to take off around the 3 or 4 p.m. point. Again, could form into bit lines and organise a little bit during the afternoon. We'll have to keep a close eye on that. Again, if we do look at the convective overview, you can see there is quite a bit of cape tomorrow, so could see again some severe storms in places, but not quite as high as today, not quite as significant as today, and we'll continue probably to see some of these big storms, hail, lightning, as we head into tomorrow and the rest of this week. If you do look at the GFS now, see what is in store for the next couple of weeks. Again, low pressure moving in off the Atlantic at the moment with initially a southerly wind. That's why it's so hot and humid at the moment. And then it goes going more westerly this week and beyond, so turning slightly cooler, but staying very unsettled with low pressure parked close by. Again, the air masses aren't ridiculously cold. We move north to northwesterly. It's from a west direction, so generally average, maybe slightly below or slightly above, maybe a brief hot plume here or there, but generally unsettled and pretty cool. You can see that from the ensembles here. Generally below average as we do head through the middle of the month. Again, GFS definitely going slightly above average in the longer term, perhaps a sign of a bit of a warm-up, but majority are average to below average, staying very unsettled and pretty cool as well. Yeah, look at that high precipitation, really not great. 2 meter temperatures, low 20s, again, that's not too bad for London, but again, London is the hottest region really in averages, so many regions will probably be struggling in the mid to high teens. Not great at all. And if we compare it to the ECMWF, again, pretty similar in terms of generally below average and actually remaining all the way towards the towards sort of the 22nd of July, staying below average. Not good at all, and high levels of precipitation. So not only more showers and potentially more thunderstorms this week, especially early this upcoming week, but also longer spells of rain, big, chunky areas of rain like we saw in the UKV, meaning we could be setting up for a very wet month. Again, some would argue it's probably a good thing. We had a pretty dry June in many regions, and we always have the risk of heat waves that always do put strain on our water. So it probably is a good thing, but many would hope that July has generally hot and dry conditions like it has done for the past few years. We're seeing a bit of a role reversal this year with it being very unsettled and a pretty big lack of anything too hot and dry. Of course, we saw a hot and dry day yesterday, but it's one day. Majority of days so far this month haven't been particularly hot or dry, It's looking likely to continue at least for the foreseeable future. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you have enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.